The night was cold and silent, broken only by the sound of wind passing through broken buildings. Earth was no longer a place of crowds and lights. Most cities were empty now, left behind after the Great Collapse. But one boy still lived there. His name was Kai. He was just 15, small for his age, wearing a torn jacket too big for his shoulders. He had no family, no friends, and no one to ask for help. He slept inside an old train station and ate whatever he could find from the ruins. But he was smart. Very smart, and brave too. He had to be, to survive in a dead city. That night something strange happened. Kai was sitting near a broken fire barrel trying to warm his hands when the sky lit up. Bright orange and white. A ball of fire raced across the stars, breaking the clouds. It moved fast, too fast for anything normal. Boom! A loud explosion followed. The ground shook. Birds flew away. A thick cloud of black smoke rose from the forest near the city edge. Kai's eyes widened. That wasn't a meteor, he whispered. Most people would have run away from the blast. Not Kai. He stood up, grabbed his small backpack, and started running toward the smoke. Maybe it was a crashed ship. Maybe it had food. Or maybe something better. Tech, batteries, wires. Things he could trade for real meals. He reached the forest fast. The trees were black from fire. Branches burned slowly. And there in the center of it all was a strange silver pod. It was smoking, broken on one side. The crash had left a deep trail in the ground. Kai slowly stepped closer. His heart beat faster. "Please let it be empty," he whispered. But it wasn't. A loud, painful groan came from inside. Kai froze. There was someone in there. He took another step forward. Through the cracked metal he saw a shape. Large, hunched, and not human. Its skin was dark green, its body covered in silver armor that was cracked and burned. It was an alien. Kai had never seen one up close. Only in old posters and news flashes. Most aliens didn't come to Earth anymore. There was nothing left for them here but this one. This one had fallen from the sky. The alien looked weak. One arm was crushed under a metal panel. Its breathing was rough. Its eyes opened for just a second. Glowing blue. Kai's first thought was to run. He had no weapons, no tools. He was just a kid. What could he do? But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way the alien looked at him, not angry, not scary, just tired. And scared. "Help," the alien whispered in a low voice. Kai blinked. "You speak English?" he asked. "Basic." "Enough," the alien coughed. "Hide me." Kai didn't move. Hide him from what? Suddenly a soft buzzing sound filled the air. Kai looked up, a drone. Small black, floating just above the trees. Its red light scanned the area. Kai's heart raced. Someone else was looking for this crash. Maybe someone dangerous. The alien looked at Kai again. "Please," he said, "they will kill me." Kai had never helped anyone before. No one had ever helped him. He always survived alone. But now, this was something else. He grabbed a piece of metal and used it to push the broken panel off the alien's leg. It took effort, but the alien groaned in pain and moved slowly out of the pod. Kai helped him stand. The alien was heavy and bleeding, but still alive. The drone moved closer. Kai acted fast. He covered the alien with his old blanket and dragged him into the shadows under the trees. The drone passed over them, then moved on. Kai breathed out. "You're lucky I'm stupid," he muttered. The alien gave a small laugh, though it sounded more like a cough. "Kind, not stupid." "What's your name?" Kai asked as he helped him walk toward the city. "Sure," the alien said. "I was once important." "Yeah, well," Kai said. "Now you're just another lost soul in a dead city." As they reached the edge of the trees, Kai stopped. He looked at Jur. "Why are they chasing you?" he asked. Jur didn't answer at first. Then he leaned in close and whispered something that made Kai freeze. "I'm not just a lost soul, boy. I used to own worlds." Kai stared at him, then looked back at the sky. Whatever he had just done, it was no small thing. He had saved an alien. And maybe, just maybe, that alien was not just someone, but someone powerful. The city was silent when Kai returned. Not a single voice, not even a dog's bark. Only the cold wind moved through the empty streets. He dragged the injured alien through the broken subway tunnels, deep below the ruins. His hiding place wasn't fancy. Just a dusty basement from an old metro station, half covered in vines and forgotten signs. But it was safe, mostly. Kai lit a small lamp made from broken solar cells. The soft yellow glow showed Jur's face. The alien looked even worse now, sweating, breathing hard, one side of his armor bent inward like a crushed can. "Lie down," Kai said, laying a dirty blanket on a pile of cardboard. Jur didn't speak. He only groaned and lowered himself, shaking with pain. Kai wasn't a doctor, but he knew basic first aid. Living alone taught him more than any school ever could. He boiled some water using a wire coil, cleaned Jur's wounds, and pulled out tiny bits of glass and metal from his side. The alien hissed in pain but didn't complain. That made Kai nervous. "Are you gonna die?" he asked. Jur opened one eye. "Not yet," he whispered. They sat in silence. Kai looked at him closely. His skin wasn't just green, it had patterns like faded tribal marks. His eyes weren't fully blue now but flickered like stars. Even his breathing sounded not natural. "Are you even real?" Kai muttered. Jur smiled faintly. Too real. Later, while the alien slept, Kai searched the gear he'd taken from the crash site. A belt with blinking lights, a damaged hand device with glowing symbols, and a strange silver cube, smooth like water but hard like stone. When he touched it, it warmed slightly. He put it away. The next morning, Jur woke with a scream. His body shook. His hand shot out and gripped Kai's wrist like iron. "Where's the cube?" Kai quickly pulled it from his backpack and handed it over. Jur took it with both hands, breathing heavily, then calmed. "It's safe," he muttered to himself. "Still sealed." "What is it?" Kai asked. "Treasure?" "No," Jur said, holding it to his chest. "Worse, memory." He didn't explain more. Kai got up, frustrated. "You say you owned worlds. You talk like a king. But now you're here on the floor hiding in my basement." Jur didn't get angry. He simply said, "Even kings fall." Later that day, Kai left the station to search for food. He avoided the main roads, moving through the shadows. As he crossed a burned-out street, he saw something that made him stop cold. A hovercraft. It was matte black, silent, with no lights. But it wasn't military. No logo, no flag. 3 strange figures stood near it, scanning the area. They weren't aliens or humans, they were both. Their faces were hidden by masks. They looked like shadows shaped by fire. Kai ducked behind a wall and listened. "Target may have survived," one of them said. "The cube must not escape." Another replied, "Search all sectors. The collector does not forgive." Collectors? Kai had only heard that word once on an old radio message years ago. They were bounty hunters, but worse. They didn't just find people, they erased them from existence. He ran back fast, heart pounding. Jur was awake when he returned, holding the cube, whispering in a strange tongue. As Kai burst in, he stopped. "You've been seen?" Jur asked. "No, but your enemies are here. The ones who sent those shadow men." Jur's face darkened. Then they followed the signal. He grabbed a small device from his belt and crushed it in his fist. Sparks flew. "Too late," he muttered. "Who are you?" Kai asked again. "What did you do?" Jur looked tired like someone who had lived too many years and seen too many wars. "I was once called Overlord Jurtal, ruler of the Vralin Syndicate. I commanded 30 moons and 3 space stations. But I was betrayed, poisoned in my own throne room. They thought I died in exile." Kai stared, mouth open. "You're telling me I just dragged a billionaire space king into my basement?" Jur smiled weakly. "Yes, and now, child, the storm is coming." Kai didn't smile back. He stepped forward, took a deep breath, and said something even he didn't believe at first. "Then let's get ready." For 3 days, the sky above the ruined city remained quiet, but Kai could feel the air getting heavier, like the world was holding its breath. Jur didn't heal much. His body was alien, yes, but also ancient. Kai watched as the alien tried to stand and failed. His strength wasn't returning. Instead, strange patterns appeared across his skin, glowing lines like circuits or veins of light. Kai asked once, "Are you sick?" Jur just shook his head. "No, just unlocking." That answer didn't help. Kai spent most of his time outside now, scavenging for food, listening for trouble. But he wasn't alone anymore. Others were moving in the ruins too. One evening, while crawling through the broken husk of an old police station, he saw them, the hunters. They weren't human. They wore armor like dark glass, almost invisible in the shadows. Their eyes glowed red, and they didn't speak. They communicated with silent hand signals and blinking lights on their wrists. Kai hid under a desk, heart pounding. One of the hunters scanned the area with a silver orb. It hummed softly as it hovered. Scan frequency matched, a voice echoed from the orb. The hunter pointed toward the subway tunnels. Kai's stomach dropped. They were close. Back in the basement, Kai slammed the door shut and ran down the stairs. "They're here," he said. Jur opened his eyes. His voice was calm. "Then the real game begins." Kai stared at him. "You're not scared." Jur gave a slow smile. "I've died once already." "What's one more time?" Kai didn't like that answer. He sat on the ground thinking. The cube, the strange silver object, was still safe, hidden inside a broken vending machine. "What's in that thing?" Kai asked again. Jur looked at him, then reached for his arm. "Hold still." "What?" Jur pressed 2 fingers to Kai's skin. A small spark jumped from Jur's fingers to Kai's wrist. It burned, but only for a second. "What the heck?" "Look," Jur said, nodding to Kai's arm. Kai looked down. A mark had appeared. Not a tattoo, not paint, but glowing softly under his skin. A circular pattern like a lock with shifting parts. "What is this?" Kai asked, panicking. "Why me?" Jur replied, "That's a part of the key. I've passed half of the cube's code to you. If they kill me, it will still exist in you." Kai stepped back. "I didn't ask for this." "No," Jur said, voice firm. "But fate rarely asks permission." Kai wanted to shout. He was just a kid. Just a nobody. He wasn't meant to be caught in a galactic manhunt. He wasn't meant to carry codes or be marked, but the mark was already glowing. Jur stood slowly, leaning on the wall. "They'll be here soon," he said, "and they won't talk. They'll take your mind apart to get what they want." Kai swallowed hard. "Then we run." They didn't get far. At the edge of the city, near the broken power tower, 3 hunters appeared, silent, sudden, fast. Jur raised his arm, sending a pulse of energy, but only one hunter staggered. Kai grabbed a pipe and swung hard. It bounced off the hunter's armor. Cheap earth metal. The hunter sneered through its mask. But Kai didn't freeze. Instead, he dropped the pipe and pulled a wire from the ground. "Touch this." "Idiot," he said. The hunter lunged and stepped on the wire. Zap! A broken transformer nearby exploded in sparks. The current ran through the hunter's leg up his armor and sent him flying into a wall. Kai stood shocked. He hadn't expected that to work. The other 2 hunters turned to him. Now they were angry. Jur stepped forward. For the first time, his eyes burned fully blue. He spoke in a language Kai couldn't understand, and a ripple of light burst from his hand, throwing both hunters back into the rubble. Then he collapsed. Kai ran to him. "Sir, hey!" The alien was breathing barely. "Power low," he whispered. "Too early to awaken." Kai looked around. "We need to hide." "No," Jur said. "We need to fight. I can't fight these monsters." Kai shouted. Jur grabbed his arm. "You already did." Kai froze. He had fought. And won. Even if it was lucky. Even if it was messy. Jur looked at him, eyes fading. "You're not just a child. You're a survivor, and now you're something more." Kai didn't know what that meant. But as he looked at the glowing mark on his skin and the 3 broken hunters on the ground, he knew one thing. The war wasn't coming anymore. It was already here. The city slept under heavy clouds, but the subway basement flickered with faint blue light. Jur lay unconscious again. His breathing was shallow. His strange armor, once smooth and glowing, now looked cracked like old stone. The silver cube rested beside him, still humming. Kai sat against the wall, arms around his knees. He had survived another attack. But now the world felt heavier. He wasn't just hiding anymore. He was involved in something bigger than his life, his hunger, or his broken city. He looked at the glowing mark on his wrist. It didn't fade. It pulsed like a heartbeat, slow, steady, alive. Outside, wind howled through broken towers. Kai's radio scanner beeped softly. He turned it up. "All units, the collector demands the air. Cube signature detected in Sector 4. Move in quietly." He turned the radio off. They were coming, but this time he wasn't running. The next morning, Jur opened his eyes. You stayed, he whispered. Kai gave a small laugh. Where else would I go? Jur sat up slowly. His body shook, but there was strength in his eyes now. You could have run, Jur said. You could have given them the cube. Kai stared at him. I thought about it. There was silence. Then Kai stood and walked over to the old vending machine. He pulled the cube from inside and placed it in front of Jur. I want answers. Jur looked at the cube, then at the boy. In the syndicate, Jur said, power is passed by code, not blood. That cube holds a legacy. And a weapon. Kai's eyes narrowed. You mean it can kill? Yes, Jur said. It can crash starships, wipe cities, rebuild empires. Kai stepped back. And you wanted me to carry that? Jur's voice was quiet. I had no choice, Kai shook his head. You had a choice. You chose me. Jur didn't answer. Kai pointed at his own chest. I'm just a street rat. I steal batteries. I trade wires. I sleep under stairs. I don't lead anything. Jur looked at him firmly. You don't yet. But I see the shape of something greater inside you. Kai turned away. Why me? Jur smiled softly. Because you came back for a dying stranger. That's something most rulers forget how to do. Later, as the sun faded, Kai stepped outside for air. He didn't hear the footsteps behind him. Click. A cold object pressed against his back. A hand grabbed his wrist. Move. Kai was shoved forward into a tight alley. A tall figure in a black coat stood there. Her face was hidden under a hood. Her voice was sharp, female, and commanding. You're the human boy who helped the exile, she said. Kai stayed silent. The woman stepped closer and removed her hood. Her face was alien but not monstrous. Smooth purple skin, short silver hair, piercing violet eyes. She looked young, but her gaze was heavy with experience. I am Valara, first daughter of Jurtal. Kai blinked. You're his daughter? She nodded. I came to bring him home, or end him if I must, Kai's heart pounded. You're with the hunters? No, she said. I'm trying to stop them. My father's past created enemies far worse than bounty hunters. She pulled out a small device and projected a hologram. It showed Zur on a throne, commanding ships, then scenes of destruction. Cities burning, whole planets screaming. Kai looked away. He did this? Valara's voice was cold. He ruled without mercy. He was feared, hated, then betrayed. Now he wants to return, Kai's voice cracked. But he's different now. Maybe, she said. But that cube gives him power again. And people don't change when power returns. They go back to who they were. Kai clenched his fists. I saw him weak, afraid. He cried in his sleep. That's not a monster. Even monsters cry, Valara whispered. She stepped forward. You have the mark, she said. You carry part of the key. Give it to me. Let me end this before another war begins. Kai looked down at his glowing wrist. He had wanted answers. Now he had too many. Back in the basement, Jur waited, leaning against the wall. His energy was returning. Kai walked in slowly, eyes locked on him. Jur looked up. She found you. Kai nodded. You didn't give her the cube, Jur said. Kai placed the cube between them. She showed me what you did. Jur didn't deny it. I was cruel, he said. I thought it made me strong. Kai stared at him. What do you want now? Jur didn't blink. To destroy the cube. Kai's eyes widened. What? I don't deserve that power anymore, Jur said. But I needed someone pure to hold it, someone who didn't want it. That's why I chose you. Kai fell silent. The boy who once hunted for food now held the key to an empire. He looked at the cube. At Jur, at his glowing wrist. He had a choice now, not because someone gave him power, but because he earned it. The silver cube sat between them, silent, glowing softly in the dark. It didn't look dangerous. It didn't even look powerful, but Kai knew it held something far bigger than metal or wires. It held choice. Jur sat still, hands folded, his breathing slow and even. His glowing marks had dimmed. He looked older now, less like a ruler, more like a tired father. Before we destroy it, Kai said softly, tell me what's inside. Jur looked at him. His voice was calm but heavy. It's not just data. It's a memory and a weapon. Kai frowned. Both? Jur nodded. The cube contains the gene key, a secret code tied to my DNA and legacy. It's linked to ancient satellites spread across 3 star systems. If activated, those satellites would send out a call, and they would return everything to my control. You mean, you'd become ruler again? Kai asked. Yes, Jur said. And destroy anyone who stood in the way. Kai looked down at the cube. So why not use it now? The hunters are here. Your enemies are close. Why not fight back? Jur gave a long, tired sigh. Because I don't trust myself. Kai blinked. I remember what I became. Jur whispered. Before the fall, I ruled by fear. I crushed rebellions. Burned cities. I told myself it was order. But it was pride. Power made me blind. He leaned forward, placing one hand gently on the cube. I don't want to be that man again. For the first time, Kai felt something shift in his chest. Not fear, not anger. Respect. He looked at the mark on his wrist, still pulsing softly. Then why did you give this to me? He asked. Jur looked him in the eye. Because the cube needs 2 signals to open. Mine and yours. Kai stepped back. What? Jur nodded. Your body now carries a matching code. That's why I marked you. That's why they want you. Kai's stomach twisted. So, if they catch me, they don't need me anymore, Jur finished. Silence fell. Just then, the wall shook. Boom. Dust fell from the ceiling. Kai ran to the tunnel entrance and looked out. Far down the corridor, flashing lights danced on the walls. Heavy footsteps echoed. The collectors were coming again, this time with more soldiers. Jur stood slowly, pressing the cube into Kai's hands. Run. I'm not leaving you. Kai shouted. You must, Jur said. Go through the old sewer line. Follow the purple moss. It'll lead you to the upper dome. From there, take the elevator shaft to the top. There's a ship. My last emergency pod. Kai didn't move. Jur stepped closer. His voice was firm but gentle. You have the other half of the code. You can destroy the cube from there, or you can use it. Kai looked down at the smooth metal again. I don't know what's right, he whispered. Jur smiled sadly. No one ever does. But the fact that you're still asking means you're already better than I ever was. The footsteps grew louder. Jur placed both hands on Kai's shoulders. Whatever you choose, I am proud of you. Then he pushed him toward the tunnel. Kai hesitated one last time, then ran. The old sewer tunnel was narrow and dark. Purple moss glowed faintly along the walls, just like Jur said. Kai ran, holding the cube tight. His mind spun with questions, memories, doubts. He had nothing once. Now he held something that could change everything. At the top of the shaft, he found the small ship, a sleek oval pod covered in dust. Inside, the console lit up as he entered. The ship recognized Jur's mark on Kai's wrist. Identity accepted. Activating final sequence, Kai sat in the pilot seat. The cube pulsed, a panel slid open, 2 slots, one for Jur's code, one for his. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the cube. His heart beat like a drum. Suddenly a soft voice spoke behind him. You're brave, child, but very foolish. Kai turned around, eyes wide. Valara, she had followed him. Her coat was burned, her arm bleeding, but her eyes were sharp as ever. You left him to die, Kai whispered. I warned him, Valara said. The moment he touched that cube again, the galaxy would start to shake. She stepped closer. Give it to me. Let me end this. Kai looked down at the panel. I'm not sure if I want to end it, he said. Valara's eyes narrowed. Then you're not ready. Kai didn't answer. He placed the cube into the first slot. Jur's code accepted. He placed his wrist over the second. Code complete. The ship's screen glowed bright. Activate cube? Yes, Anokai's finger hovered. Valara stepped forward. Think, boy. You have no army, no training. If you activate it, you'll start a war. Kai looked at her. Then he looked out the window. At the stars. I don't want to start a war, he said. He paused. But maybe I can end one. The ship hummed softly. Inside the cockpit, Kai's hand hovered over the glowing screen. One simple tap could activate the cube, a device that could restart an empire, or destroy peace across the stars. But he hadn't tapped yet. He stared at the glowing buttons. Yes and no. Behind him, Valara watched with sharp eyes, her voice low and serious. Don't do this, Kai, she said. Once it's activated, there's no turning back. The galaxy will see Jur's code again. The hunters will multiply. Governments will panic. You'll start a fire you can't control. Kai didn't look at her. Maybe it needs to burn, he whispered. But the doubt was still there. Then, something strange happened. The cube pulsed twice and the screen changed. He is still alive. Kai jumped. What? Valara frowned. What did it say? Kai turned to her, shocked. Jure, he's alive. The ship had scanned for his biosignature and somehow it had found it, deep underground. Weak but alive. Valara's face froze. For a moment her expression softened. Almost sad I told them not to kill him, she whispered, only to bring him in quietly. Kai stood up. You lied. I did what I had to do, Valara snapped. My father destroyed whole civilizations, including mine. He ordered strikes that erased cities in hours. He buried my mother in silence. Kai looked down. And now you bury him? Valara stepped forward. I came here to stop a second Jurtal from rising, she said. And yet, I see someone else. Kai narrowed his eyes. Who? You, Valara said. The ship rocked. An explosion blasted near the entrance tunnel. A shockwave hit the structure. Alarms beeped. Warning, hull pressure unstable. External threat detected, the ship's AI voice said. Kai grabbed onto the chair. They're here, he muttered. Valara looked at the radar. A warship, not mine. Not the hunters either. This is bigger. The screen lit up with new symbols. Ships were descending. Syndicate loyalists. Old warships. Ancient but armed. Coming for the cube. They must have tracked your activation signal, Valara said. You touched the code. Kai clenched his fists. I didn't send a message. You didn't need to, she said. The cube did. Another explosion rocked the hangar. Outside, shadows moved. Soldiers in dark armor, glowing with blue trim. Syndicate elites. Kai stared in disbelief. Jure still has followers? Yes, Valara said. Some never stopped waiting. They believe he was wronged. A fallen king. She pulled out a thin blade from her coat. Kai stepped back. You gonna stop me again? Valara didn't answer. Instead, she handed him the blade. I didn't come to kill you, she said. I came to see if you're better than him. Kai took the blade, confused. You want me to fight? No, Valara said. I want you to lead. In the tunnels below, Jure opened his eyes. Blood dripped from his side. His armor was shattered. The collectors had dragged him, questioned him, beat him, but he never spoke. Now a faint light glowed on the wall. It was the cube's signal. He smiled weakly. He activated it. Jure touched his chest. A small device buzzed under his skin. He pressed it and a signal pulsed back to the ship. Above, the ship's console beeped again. Signal received from primary air. Audio incoming. Kai hit play. Jure's voice came through, cracked, fading, but proud. Kai, if you're hearing this, I'm still here. I don't ask you to save me. I ask you to finish what I started. Not with war, but with mercy. Be better than me. Valara closed her eyes. It was the first time she heard her father sound like a man. Not a monster. Kai sat down, he touched the blade. Then the mark on his wrist, then the cube. Release code to all channels? He hesitated, then tapped. Yes, across the sky, hundreds of hidden satellites lit up. But instead of targeting weapons, they opened archives. The truth. Jure's orders. The rebellions. The betrayals. The pain. All of it broadcast to every system across the old syndicate. No more secrets. No more lies. In the bunker, Jure watched the ceiling flicker. He smiled. I'm no longer a king, he whispered. But maybe now, I'm finally free. Then he closed his eyes and slept. In the cockpit, Valara sat beside Kai. You didn't build a throne, she said. You shattered it. Kai didn't reply. He looked out the window, where enemy ships were now turning away, their loyalty shaken by the truth. He had no army, but he had something stronger. A voice. The stars above Earth were no longer silent. After centuries of hiding secrets, the truth of the syndicate spread like wildfire, beamed from ancient satellites once used for war, now turned into voices of memory. Across 3 systems, people saw what was buried: the rise, the cruelty, the fall of Jurtal, and his final wish to change. And at the center of it all, in a broken city with no name, stood a boy with nothing. Kai. No crown. No armor. Just old shoes and a glowing mark on his wrist. The enemy warships didn't fire, they simply stopped, confused, broken by the truth. Their command systems registered the broadcast as a new authority. Not a military order, but a public release. The kind no empire could hide. Inside the small ship, Kai sat frozen. He hadn't meant to become anything. He didn't ask to lead. He didn't ask to carry codes in his blood. But now the galaxy looked toward him, not as a soldier, not as a ruler, but as a voice. Valara stood beside him, silent. "You ended it," she said softly. "No guns, no blood. Just truth." Kai didn't respond at first, then he looked at her and whispered, "But what now?" Valara smiled faintly. "Now you decide what comes after." 3 hours later, a small hovercraft landed near the edge of the city. The hunters were gone. The collectors scattered. The syndicate loyalists were confused. Some surrendered, some vanished into the shadows. Kai walked through the ruins slowly. He found Jur where he had been left, in the collapsed metro tunnel. Beneath fallen concrete, the old alien still breathed, but barely. His skin was pale. The marks on his body had stopped glowing. Kai knelt beside him and took his hand. "I did what you asked," he said quietly. "I didn't restart your empire. I didn't take your power. I just told the truth." Jur's eyes fluttered open. "Proud of you," he whispered. Kai's throat tightened. "You'll be okay. I've got med drones coming." Jur smiled weakly. "No, I'm finished." "And that's okay?" His voice faded, but before his last breath he placed a tiny chip in Kai's hand. Last gift. Then he closed his eyes. And Jurtal, former ruler of moons and destroyer of cities, passed into peace, not as a king, not as a warrior, but as a man. The chip unlocked days later. Inside were codes, not weapons, not armies, money more than Kai had ever imagined, spread across galaxies, hidden accounts, enough to restart worlds, feed millions, rebuild cities. He stared at the screen, then turned to Valara. "We could keep it." Valara raised an eyebrow. "We could," Kai smiled. "Let's not." Months passed, ships arrived, journalists, historians, engineers. The cube had done more than end the war. It had revealed a map to lost colonies, refugee camps, and orphan worlds long forgotten by the syndicate. Kai stood at the center of it all, always in his same old jacket. People asked for interviews, he gave none. They asked if he'd lead a new government. He said no. He told them, "I'm just a kid who saved someone when no one else would." 1 year later, the city had changed. Lights glowed again. Children laughed in the streets. And under a small statue made of scrap metal stood Kai, quiet, alone, watching stars blink in the sky above. Valara walked up behind him. "They named the school after you," she said. Kai shook his head. "I told them not to," she smirked. "People don't listen to kings either." He chuckled softly. "I was never a king." "No," she agreed. "You were something better." That night, a message arrived from a distant system. "To Kai of Earth, we heard your story. We watched your truth. We were enemies of Jurtal, but we will follow you, not out of fear, but because you reminded us what it means to be human." Kai smiled. He didn't wear robes, he didn't carry weapons. But somehow, across the stars, people listened not because of power, but because a nobody made a choice to help, to protect, to forgive. And in that moment, he became more than just a boy. He became a legend.